Okay, so I graduated in May 2018 with the Master's in Chemical Engineering from the University of Utah.
Mm-hmm.
And 4 months after that, I got offered the job here in West Texas. And I was working as a mud logger for almost a year and a half.
Uh-huh.
And I got laid off in March 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And since then, I've been trying to find a job outside the oil and gas field.
Mm-hmm.
As everybody else, I'm facing the same problem with the economic slowdown and job freeze and all of that stuff. So when I was informed, so I'm currently on STEM OPT. So when I was trying to find a job back when I was in regular OPT, I used up all my unemployment days.
Mm-hmm.
So when I got laid off, I started my unemployment days, and now I only have left about 30 days, or 32 days to be exact. So by June 8th, I will have to either join a different educational program, such as PhD or another master's, or probably find another job, which is the ultimate goal. And since the layoff happened, I've been studying for something called the FE exam, Fundamentals of Engineering exam, and I have been taking Python courses, putting myself onto the track of joining the data science as a safe route to join the world of IT once this whole pandemic thing goes down. So the FE exam, I had to put it on hold for some time because I cannot prioritize it right now due to this short time that I have.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, there's no opening for a test in the future, even in June. So I had to postpone that for a little bit. But the most important thing for me is to find a job within these 30 days, and at the same time, whatever that will grant me legal status in the U.S. until just something, it could be temporary, it could be something permanent, I don't mind. But as long as it just make me safe to pass this whole period of time until things pick up again and we resume normal life, if we will ever resume normal life. So, yeah.
And your home is at Qatar, correct?
Yes, so I was born and raised in Qatar, but I'm Egyptian citizen by passport.
Okay, so if you have to go back, you have to go back to Egypt. Is that?
If the thing is, because my family lives in Qatar, so I can go back in Qatar, but they stop all the flights.
Right.
So I would be stuck, and I have to go to Egypt probably.
Right. No. What I'm saying is, like, if you had to go back, like any other person, your home country would be Egypt, correct?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
Okay. And let me ask you, what are the things that you have done since you got laid off in March? What are the steps you have taken so far, which has not been successful?
Okay, so I tried applying for water treatment companies as a field I can work in as a chemical engineer.
Basically, you have tried applying for jobs. Number one.
Yeah, applying for jobs, applying for PhD programs.
Oh, you have done that?
Yes, mm-hmm. I've done that. I have tried, as I said, learning Python. It's going. It's not gonna get the fruit right now, but still. I was trying to study for the APE test as well, and I was planning to take a certificate in Six Sigma because my dream is to be a process engineer, so this is a crucial part of being a process engineer.
Mm-hmm.
And so these are the stuff that I've been filling up my time with since I got laid off.
Okay. So another question I have for you is, when you were working in Texas, this is something related to oil and gas, if I'm not wrong, right? The company.
Yeah, drilling for oil and gas.
Right. So, why did you waited for that long? Because the oil and gas has such a big problem from like 5 years.
To be honest,
I see you have a lot of background working with oil company at or some internship at Qatar, right?
Mm-hmm, true.
So
true.
Is that the reason that you feel comfortable?
That's one. Mm-hmm. The comfort of being around the degree that was revolved around the oil and gas industry.
And with your experience.
Yes, I'm going to be 100% honest here. So yeah, that was definitely one of the major factors that got me into keep trying into the oil and gas. And the second thing is when I got this job, I spent year and a half in it, but I was actually trying to hit the 1 year mark. So I would add like 1 full year to my resume of being in a single job.
But
And then
you are there for last almost 2 years, isn't it?
no, actually, I started exactly in September 2018, and I got laid off in exactly March 2020.
So little more than a year.
Yes, exactly a year and a half, year and 6 months.
Yes.
So since then, I've been. Hold on.
Yeah, now I can hear you.
The moment I completed that 1 year mark, I was trying to tap out of the industry. But to be honest, I wasn't putting like my not even 50% effort into doing this because my shift while I was working in the field, it was 12 hours a day, continuously, no weekends, no breaks, continuous for 20 days a month.
Right.
And then I have no Wi-Fi, no signal, so I cannot apply.
So you had a degree in chemical engineering.
Yes.
Why? So why did you like look for the job in oil and gas? You can go for any chemical plant or something, right? That is also.
Yeah. So that's actually what I'm trying to explore right now. So I listed a couple of industries that I can easily work in with the job titles that I can fit in as well.
Okay.
And chemicals being on the top of the list, and other industries as well.
Okay. So, Khalid, I will tell you, probably try to answer some of your question. I know this is, you are coming to a doctor when you are in ventilator.
Too late.
Right? If you would have come 6 months back, I would have given you right answer or some suggestion. That's what I do with most of the student because career is a longer progression. I don't expect to give a jump start because that's what career doesn't work that way. But anyway, I think this is not new to you. So I'm gonna give you some short answers, and but I would also like to give you some advice for long term. Okay. So I would say short term answer would be first you have to rewrite your CV, in my opinion. And the reason why I say so is, your CV doesn't look like a CV of a chemical engineer. It looks like a CV of a guy who works for oil and gas. So if I see your CV, if I am a recruiter, if I see your CV, I said, this guy works for oil and gas. I don't want to hire someone who has an oil and gas background because I make polymer. Do you understand my point?
Yeah, of course, yes.
So my very first advice to you would be you have to work on your CV so people see this CV as a guy who is a chemical engineer and not as a guy who work in oil and gas. So by doing that, your CV will be more visible to people or for the recruiter, and then you can also apply at many positions outside oil and gas. So for example, if there is a polymer company, if example there is you said water treatment plant company, or for matter any company which is a chemical company. Right now, so see, you have to understand how the whole recruitment process works, right? So the recruitment process, the way it works is you have to make sure that the keywords that are out there are relevant for the position. If I'm a HR, if I look at your CV, I say this guy has everything has to do with oil and gas. You have your feedback and all the things you have done. So why I want to hire a guy who is an oil and gas guy? And because oil and gas, most of the people who are getting laid off are from oil and gas, right? And there will be a lot of CVs who will look like your CV. So you have to stand out your CV. So first thing you need to do is you need a new CV, which says Khalid is a chemical engineer and not a person who used to work for oil and gas. That's number one. Okay.
Okay.
So and how you do it? So first of all, you have to put your education background on the top, not at the bottom, but at the top. okay, which says chemical engineering. And then you should also list the number of courses that you have learned in your chemical engineering course. So people know what type of courses you have learned, what you have studied, okay?
Okay.
And then in the industry experience, when you, and if you have done any research in your masters on chemical engineering or anything like that, mention that too. Industry experience, I would say I will write everything, but I will try to emphasize that how I have used my knowledge as a chemical engineer.
Mm.
So you can write the same sentence. So I can give you an example. For example, it says analyzing the geological formation, gas data, and drilling parameters for 50 oil and gas well on site to create high quality detailed mud logs and tune LAS profiles, right? Files or something. So how you would write this if you are a chemical engineer? That's my question. You need to rewrite this in a way it looks. So you can say, for example, um, um, for example, you know, um, analyzing the chemistry. Okay, analyze the chemistry for the for of the lithology or the for of the geology to optimize the drilling parameters. That's it. What I'm trying to tell you is your CV should come out as a CV of a person who is a chemical engineer and not as a person who works for oil and gas, and that is number one thing that you have to do. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
And then look for any company out there who are looking for a chemical engineer. Oh, by the way, one thing I want to ask you: do you have used all your OPT, or still you have some time left?
I still have almost a year.
Almost a year. Okay.
Yeah, more than a year actually.
Okay. So okay, that's good. So what I will ask you is to first of all change your CV and then started looking at all the chemical companies, whether they are polymer companies, whether they are treatment plants, whether it's even Coca-Cola, doesn't matter. Anything that works with chemical or chemistry you should apply to those companies. Okay,
Okay.
that's number one. Number two would be try to find it out that if you have any person who is from University of Utah and is working in some of those chemical companies, try to network with them.
Okay. Let's work with alumni.
Yeah, try to go to LinkedIn and find it out who are the all the alumni who are graduated from your chemical engineering department and are looking for an intern or for that matter anything.
Okay.
Okay, try to do that. And make sure in your CV you can also mention that you don't need a sponsorship right now immediately. You have a OPT and you can use that.
Okay.
Try to you can mention that in your CV. So that's one way to get around that. The other way to get around that is, as you said, you have been looking at PhD programs or any other program. So have you been successful so far or no?
I was promised. Acceptance, but it's a matter of logistics and going through the papers. And ideally, the fall semester, if it's gonna resume in the normal fashion, so it should start in about August, September, and this is where I'm expecting to start the PhD program. And the deadline was the 1st of June, but however, I already applied. So it's just a matter of time for me to know if I'm gonna join or not.
I mean, the other thing I would say that if you're looking to join a PhD program, be careful because PhD is a 4-year commitment, and if you're not ready for that, I would suggest you to go for a rather short programs, whether go for an MBA or go for something else. To be honest with you.
Okay. I actually, you know what? One of the things that I really considered, and I want to, I can do anything to join that field, which is the field of like the big consulting firms such as McKinsey, Bain, all of these companies. So one of the things that's in common over there is that most of the associates who join these companies are normally MBA holders, and they hold MBAs from top tier universities. So that's something I would have explored in different periods of time, but that month is like my nightmare.
I know, but what I'm saying is you may not have time for GMAT or something. So what you can do is look for the MBA program, and most of the MBA programs are now online because nobody's going to school, right? So I would say you may be able to find some of the good MBA programs from good university where they are waiving the GMAT also now. So you don't have to worry about giving GMAT, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do
And
you have any knowledge if that online thing will grant me legal stay in the US or no?
no, because you will be a student.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you are enrolled as a student, same as a PhD. So I don't see that as a problem, to be honest with you. Yeah.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is, rather than see, a PhD is something that you want to do if you really are into research and all that. But if you are not, it could be a nightmare. And then you will regret after a year or so. And with an MBA or something, because you already mentioned, right, this is what you want to do, McKinsey, Bain, and all that. I would say if that is the case, you have a good job experience, go for an MBA. You will finish your MBA in 2 years. By the time the economy will be fine, because I'm not sure even after 6 months the economy will be okay, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And especially one thing for sure, you have to get out from oil and gas. Oil and gas is done.
Yes, that's something I believe in.
No. Oil and gas is done. Oil and gas, automotive, they are going for a long haul, to be honest with you. Oil and gas especially. So I don't suggest a young person like you shouldn't be looking for a career over there, to be honest. Because if you start your career from such industry, which is failing anyway, I don't know what's the future. So, I think it's important for you to diversify. Start looking for some of the online MBA program which are still have a deadline, and start applying, so that you don't, as I said, I'm doing my MBA also right now. So that's the reason I'm saying most of the classes are online right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So do you used to have this condition of 5 years worth of professional experience to be able to apply?
Not really. I mean, for a full-time program, there is no requirement. For executive MBA program or working professional program, what they call, there is a requirement. But I think you are eligible for that.
Okay, very good.
Not for executive, but for working professional MBA, they call it.
Yeah.
And actually some of these MBAs are, especially the working professional MBAs, they run on weekends. So actually you take only class on Saturday and Sunday, that's it. And you can work also.
Okay.
Especially the one which I'm doing is a working professional, so I don't have to go on weekdays or things like that.
Okay.
So you can do that and maintain your status. I think it's better if you don't have a big money crisis or something. I think going for an MBA might be better, because in 2 years you will be done and look like you, the person like you are in your personality. I would suggest going for an MBA rather than going for a PhD, to be honest.
Okay.
So that's number 2. What else you can do? So right now you have to worry about your status, and I think that's the only way I see, actually. To be honest with you, the second way is the better way. If you can save your status and look for
something else.
Go for join an MBA or something, because that's the only way. You don't have much time. And as far as looking for interns or something, I mean, if there is a local company out there who is hiring, whether it's you are in Texas, or where are you right now?
Yeah, I'm staying with a friend.
Because one thing for sure, you have to get out from Texas. There is no job in Texas right now. If there will be any job, it will be somewhere else, not in Texas.
Up north, maybe?
Yeah, up north or Colorado or somewhere, not in Texas, dude, for sure.
Okay.
So you have to get out from there if you can, to be honest with you. Because if there is any way you can find a job in any company, those will be in I don't know, but not in Texas, because of the oil and gas, to be honest.
Okay. Okay.
because oil and gas is such a big part of Texas. It's like if Halliburton or any company fires, their subcontractor gets fired. Everyone goes out.
This is how I got laid off.
Yeah, yeah, I know. I have a couple of friends who are having the same problem. They work at, and I have a lot of friends who actually a lot of people that called from Halliburton because they got laid off. So I was helping some people. But this is the nature of the game, to be honest with you. So, but I would say at the same time, having done all this homework, be ready to go back home. Okay, so your plan A could be I'm going to apply for an MBA program and want to stay. Your plan B could be I'm going to revise my CV and start applying to other places. And your plan C could be applying for companies back home, whether it's Qatar, whether it's Egypt, or doesn't matter, to be honest with you. Because it can be very possible that because of the deadline of the universities, they're gonna say it's too late. So anyway, you have to go back
Before you can come back in.
before you can come back in, and they say, okay, we will. You can join in December or January next year. But what I'm saying, before you before you come back, you may have to go.
Yeah, understood. Yeah.
Yeah, so
I thought about the
yeah, yeah.
possibility.
So I would say make sure you utilize your time right now to make sure that you come back.
Mm.
To come back. And because as I said, you are in ventilator right now. I don't know what answer I can give you. It's extremely late. But if you want to come back, this 1 month is very important for you because I don't think you can come back either because of the visa problems now.
True.
But if you decide to go back, you want to make sure your plan C should be what I'm gonna do if I go back. What
So
I'm gonna
plan
do,
is
yeah. So your plan A,
B.
plan B, plan C, right? So your plan C could be okay. If I go back, what I'm gonna do, what companies I should be looking for, because I'm pretty sure because of oil and gas over there, the situation would be worst actually.
Oh yes, big time, big time.
Yeah, yeah. So
Okay.